The vast expanse of space stretched endlessly before Commander Xylor Darax. His fleet, a formidable armada of Vorner warships, sliced through the void with precision, its sleek, dark forms like predatory shadows gliding toward their target. Earth, that insignificant dot in the distance, was finally within reach. Xylor's sharp, angular face was impassive as he stared at the holographic display in front of him. His fingers rested lightly on the console, the faint glow of the screen illuminating his pale skin. His fleet was composed of thousands of ships, each more advanced than the last. Their weapons were unmatched, their shields impenetrable. Earth had nothing to offer that could challenge them. "Commander," the voice of his tactical officer Krell crackled through the comms. "We've entered Earth's gravitational pull. The target is confirmed. Preparing to initiate Phase 1. Xylor's eyes flicked toward the tactical display. The blue orb of Earth loomed larger now, its swirling clouds and oceans appearing peaceful, almost serene. A stark contrast to the chaos Xylor was about to unleash. "Excellent," Xylor replied coolly, his deep voice tinged with disdain. "Initiate the Phase 1 strike. Target the communication arrays first. Disable their defenses. We don't need any distractions." Krell nodded from his station, her fingers dancing across the controls. "Phase 1 initiated. Communication arrays offline. No signs of resistance yet." Xylor's lips curled into a smile. It was always the same, these backward planets, stuck in the past, thinking themselves safe behind outdated technology and primitive weaponry. Earth had been a member of the Galactic Federation for centuries, but its military was outdated, its technology barely a step above that of the ancient human wars. No one had seriously considered Earth a threat. "Move on to Phase 2, Xylor ordered, already anticipating the easy victory. His eyes drifted back to the massive holographic display. The planet was so small, so fragile, suspended in the blackness of space. "Let's show them what happens when you don't know your place." On the surface of Earth, in a modest research facility buried deep beneath the Nevada desert, Dr. Eli Hart watched a series of monitors. His fingers hovered above the keyboard, the glow of the screens reflecting in his glasses. Eli was no stranger to strange occurrences, but this was different. He had spent years studying human history, tracking down ancient artifacts and relics, hoping to uncover the lost power buried beneath the surface of Earth's forgotten past. Most of his colleagues had long since dismissed his theories as wild imagination, but Eli knew better. History, real history, was hidden beneath the layers of time, an energy, a force, waiting to be unlocked. Eli's focus sharpened as a series of strange electromagnetic pulses shot across his monitors. His heart raced. He quickly adjusted his glasses, tapping in commands isolating the signals. The pulses weren't natural. They were far too structured. A grin tugged at the corner of his lips. He had been waiting for this. The Federation had long ago dismissed Earth as a backwater planet, a relic of a once proud species that had now descended into complacency. But Eli had always suspected there was more to Earth's history than met the eye. Earth had survived the collapse of countless empires. It had rebuilt itself after 2 world wars, a near-extinction event, and countless other crises. Humanity's ability to adapt, to survive, was something no one had truly understood. But the anomaly in the data? This was something different. He quickly entered a series of commands, sending the data to his secured network. "It's happening," he whispered to himself, barely containing his excitement. The electromagnetic pulses were no ordinary interference. They were emanating from Earth itself. Eli tapped his comm device. "Sam, get down here! You need to see this." A few minutes later, his colleague, Sam Wright, entered the room, his brow furrowed in confusion. "What is it this time, Eli? Another one of your—" "Look!" Eli interrupted him, pointing to the monitors. Sam's eyes widened as he examined the data. This doesn't make sense. The pulses, they're coming from Earth. The exact same source is emitting them over and over. It's as if someone's trying to communicate." Eli nodded. "Or something's awakening," Meanwhile, far above, Xylor's fleet had moved into position, ready to begin the attack. His tactical officer's voice came through the calm again. Phase 2 complete. All defensive systems neutralized. We're clear to land. Excellent. Proceed with the invasion, Xylor ordered, his voice cold and emotionless. He couldn't help but revel in the simplicity of it all. A few easy strikes, and Earth would be another conquered world under his rule. As the first wave of his troops descended toward Earth's surface, something unusual happened. A ripple in the fabric of space-time, an imperceptible tremor at first, but undeniable. Xylor's brow furrowed. Krell, report. The tactical officer's voice was laced with uncertainty. Commander, we're receiving strange readings from Earth's atmosphere. It's impossible. Xylor's eyes narrowed. What do you mean, impossible? There's something in the atmosphere, something that's interfering with our landing systems, Krell replied, a rare crack of concern in her voice. Xylor's fingers clenched. This was not how it was supposed to go. He had anticipated resistance, yes, but nothing like this. Engage countermeasures, he snapped, his patience thinning. We're not here to play games. Back on Earth, Eli's heart raced as he watched the strange pulses intensify. The data coming through now was unlike anything he had ever seen. The force was growing stronger, and it was clear now, it wasn't random. It was intelligent. Something was waking up. Sam, Eli said, his voice barely a whisper. Whatever's happening, it's connected to us. This is our history. The ancient power we've been searching for, it's real. Sam was silent for a moment, his face pale. You mean, we've been sitting on a weapon this whole time? Eli nodded grimly. And now they've come for it. The alien fleet above Earth was now in disarray. Their instruments were malfunctioning. The tactical officer struggled to maintain control of the ship's systems. Xylor's eyes glowed with a mixture of irritation and disbelief. What in the void is happening? He muttered. This was supposed to be easy. As the strange energy continued to build, Eli understood one thing with terrifying clarity: Earth wasn't defenseless at all. And whatever was awakening beneath the surface was far more dangerous than anyone had anticipated. The chaos above Earth had escalated in a matter of hours. Xylor's fleet, a force capable of crushing entire star systems with a single command, was now besieged by inexplicable phenomena. Instruments flickered, communications were distorted, and every ship in his armada began experiencing sudden malfunctions. What should have been a swift conquest had turned into an operational nightmare. Xylor stood on the command deck of his flagship, his hands clasped behind his back as he watched the disarray unfolding around him. The distant view of Earth, once a mere speck in his mind, now loomed ominously before him. Every passing moment seemed to heighten his unease. Krell. Xylor's voice was sharp, commanding. Report. What's happening? Krell, his tactical officer, sat frozen at her console, her fingers flying over the controls in a desperate attempt to stabilize their systems. I don't know, Commander. The atmospheric interference is unlike anything we've encountered before. It's as if Earth is fighting back. Fighting back? Xylor repeated, the words tasting foreign on his tongue. That's impossible. We've destroyed their defenses. Earth has no weapons capable of resisting us. These are mere primitives, clinging to ancient technologies. Nothing more. But even as he spoke, Xylor could feel the ship tremble, as though some unseen force was testing its boundaries. Commander, Krell added, voice trembling, we've detected a sudden spike in electromagnetic energy from the planet's surface. It's coming from multiple locations, spreading out in all directions. It's disrupting our systems. Xylor clenched his fists, his jaw set in anger. This is no coincidence. This planet is hiding something we missed. Initiate all countermeasures. Get us to the surface. We will wipe them out, even if it takes every last resource. On the ground, Eli's pulse quickened as the strange readings on his monitors intensified. The energy surges were coming faster now, each pulse stronger than the last. It wasn't just an anomaly anymore, it was a signal. And it was originating from Earth itself, from the heart of humanity's ancient history. Eli turned to Sam, his eyes wide with realization. It's not just electromagnetic pulses. The energy is too structured, too deliberate. Someone is using it. We're not the only ones feeling this. Sam, standing next to him, was visibly shaken. You mean this is some sort of weapon? Hidden for centuries? Not a weapon, Eli replied, his voice calm but filled with urgency. It's something older. Something humanity has forgotten. Earth isn't defenseless, Sam. It never was. Sam looked at him, trying to process the magnitude of what Eli was suggesting. But how? We've been left alone for so long. The Federation doesn't even care about us anymore. No one's even thought to investigate. Eli tapped his fingers on the desk, thinking rapidly. It's not about technology. It's something deeper. Earth's resilience. It's embedded in us, in our DNA. Our ancestors, the ones who survived wars, plagues, and entire civilizations falling apart, they left behind something. A defense mechanism, something we've evolved to access, but we never knew how. Sam shook his head. And now it's waking up? Why now? Why is this happening? Eli stared at the screen, his mind racing. Because they're here. They've come for Earth. And whatever's dormant in our past, in our very being, is responding. Above, the Vorner fleet was inching closer to Earth's surface, though it wasn't going as smoothly as Xylor had anticipated. Despite his command to initiate all countermeasures, the interference from the planet's energy surges was relentless. Systems continued to glitch, navigation was unstable, and for the first time in Xylor's career, doubt began to creep in. Commander, Krell reported hesitantly. We've lost full control of several ships in the lower fleet. I'm seeing massive energy distortions. Our forces, they're not responding to our commands. Enough! Xylor snapped, his patience stretched thin. We'll land, and we'll crush this planet's resistance, no matter the cost. Sir, we've detected. Krell stopped mid-sentence, her voice faltering as the entire command deck lurched. The flagship shuddered violently, almost as if it were caught in the grip of an unseen force. Xylor's eyes widened. What's happening now? Another violent tremor rocked the ship, and the entire fleet shuddered in unison. For a moment, there was only the low hum of disrupted power systems before a series of communication signals broke through the static. A booming voice echoed from the planet's surface, cutting through the chaos. It was human, raw and defiant. This is Earth's final warning. The voice reverberated through the fleet's communications system, amplified by the same energy that was disrupting their ships. Leave now, or face the consequences. Xylor's face went pale as the transmission ended, replaced by a deafening silence across the deck. The alien commander's grip tightened around the edge of his console. He had never anticipated something like this. The humans were speaking, no commanding, something far beyond their capabilities. Commander, the readings are off the charts, Krell said, her voice barely above a whisper. This isn't just resistance. This is an energy field of unimaginable power. Xylor took a step back, processing the realization. This is impossible, he muttered to himself. They can't possibly have such power. No species that small could. But the evidence was undeniable. Earth wasn't just fighting back. It was awakening something that had lain dormant for eons. And now that ancient force was revealing itself in the most terrifying way possible. On Earth, Eli and Sam continued to monitor the rapidly evolving situation. The readings were escalating at an exponential rate. What had started as an isolated incident was now expanding across the planet, sending shockwaves into space. Eli watched as the pattern on his screen shifted. The pulses were no longer just electromagnetic. They were becoming something else, something more. We need to get to the ancient site, Eli said urgently. It's our only chance to understand what's happening. I don't know if we can stop it, but we need to figure out how it works. Sam's voice was tight with fear. You think this is all connected? That whatever's causing this energy, has been buried here all along? Eli nodded. It's the key to everything. We need to move now. The two of them rushed to gather their equipment, each fully aware that time was running out. Above, Xylor's fleet hovered, waiting for the inevitable conflict that would determine the fate of Earth. But Earth had already decided. The power of its ancient past had awoken, and there was no going back. The tension on both sides of the conflict was palpable as the inevitable clash neared. Earth was no longer the defenseless planet that Xylor had once believed it to be. And as the fleet descended, the hidden force beneath Earth's surface prepared to make its stand. The ground trembled as Eli and Sam made their way toward the ancient site, a buried ruin long believed to be a mere myth. The electromagnetic disturbances had intensified, and the air crackled with an unnatural energy. For the first time, the overwhelming sense of urgency that had gripped Eli seemed to weigh heavily on his shoulders. They were running out of time. Behind them, the towering spires of the Vorner fleet filled the sky, blocking out the sun. The once serene landscape of Nevada had turned into a battlefield, with debris from the alien ships scattering across the desert floor. Yet, the most pressing concern was the energy field emanating from beneath the ground, a power so vast that it threatened to tear apart the fabric of reality itself. Eli, how much further? Sam's voice broke through the chaos, his steps heavy in the oppressive atmosphere. Eli didn't answer right away. He had been to the site before, but this time it was different. The energy pulses were no longer faint disturbances. They were overwhelming, almost suffocating. It felt as though the planet itself was breathing, exhaling a force that Eli couldn't fully comprehend. It's just ahead, Eli finally said, his voice tinged with both awe and fear. The site is where they left it. But I don't know if we'll be able to control what's down there. Control it? Sam asked, his brow furrowed in confusion. You mean, whatever is causing these disruptions? Eli nodded, his eyes fixed ahead. The ancients weren't just survivors of wars or plagues. They were custodians of something far greater. Something buried beneath this planet, locked away for eons. And now, we're about to unleash it. As they approached the site, the ruins revealed themselves in the distance, a series of jagged stones rising from the desert like ancient monuments. The entrance was partially obscured, hidden by the relentless sandstorms that had plagued the region for centuries. But the energy that pulsed beneath the ground was undeniable. It was guiding them, pulling them in. Eli's heart pounded as he stepped over the threshold, the ground beneath him vibrating with each step. The walls of the ancient structure were covered in symbols, glyphs that had remained unread for millennia. They seemed to shimmer now, almost as if they were alive, reacting to their presence. What are they? Sam asked, his voice awestruck. Eli didn't answer immediately. Instead, he stepped forward and ran his hand over the stone's surface. The symbols flared to life, lighting up with an ethereal glow. These aren't just writings, Eli murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. They're instructions. The ancients knew what this place was meant for. Above, Xylor's fleet hovered ominously, its presence casting a shadow over the earth. The alien commander stood in the command center of his flagship, his face tight with frustration and disbelief. The malfunctions in his fleet had only worsened. The energy from Earth's surface was too powerful to ignore, and Xylor was starting to realize that this planet, this insignificant world he had come to conquer, was something far beyond his expectations. Krell, Xylor said, his voice tinged with impatience. Report. We need to land and end this. Krell hesitated. The tactical officer, usually so confident, now seemed rattled. Commander, the interference, it's not just atmospheric anymore. We've lost communication with several of our ships in the lower fleet. It's spreading faster than we can counter. Xylor's eyes narrowed. What is it? Is this the humans doing? We believe so, Commander, Krell replied, though her voice lacked the usual certainty. There's something coming from the surface, a force we don't fully understand. It's more than just their primitive technologies. We're dealing with something ancient. Xylor turned sharply, his fists clenched. I don't care what it is. This planet will fall, and so will its protectors. Prepare the landing forces. It's time to finish this. Eli and Sam had descended deeper into the ancient structure, the air growing colder with each step. The further they went, the more they felt the power surrounding them, an ancient force that pulsed with life and energy. Finally, they reached the heart of the ruins, a massive chamber at the center of the site. In the middle of the room was a pedestal, covered in dust but clearly untouched for centuries. Atop the pedestal lay an object, a sphere, pulsating with energy. That's it, Eli breathed. That's the source of the power. The sphere glowed brighter as they approached, as if sensing their presence. Eli hesitated for a moment, his hand trembling slightly as he reached out. This is it, Sam. The key to everything. Sam looked at him, his eyes wide with uncertainty. Are you sure we can control it? If this thing has been dormant for so long. We have to try. Eli interrupted, his voice determined. It's the only way to stop them. As his hand made contact with the sphere, a surge of energy coursed through Eli's body. He gasped, staggering back, his vision blurring. The symbols on the walls flared, and the entire chamber seemed to come alive with a strange hum. For a moment, Eli felt as though he were being pulled into the very fabric of the universe itself, the ancient power flooding through him. Then, just as suddenly, it stopped. Eli dropped to his knees, panting, his heart racing. But something had changed. The sphere had calmed, its glow now steady, almost as if it were waiting for something. Eli? Sam's voice cut through the haze. What happened? Are you okay? Eli took a deep breath, his mind clearing. It's responding. I can feel it. This is what we've been searching for. The power of the ancients, it's ours now. But we have to use it carefully. This is bigger than just us. As Eli stood up, the walls of the chamber shifted, the ancient glyphs rearranging themselves to form new symbols. It was as if the building itself was awakening, responding to the power that had been unleashed. The energy that had been dormant for so long was now fully active, and Earth's fate was no longer in the hands of the aliens above. Back in orbit, Xylor's fleet was finally descending toward Earth's surface. He watched as his landing ships moved into position, the force of his military now ready to crush whatever resistance remained. But something was different, something was wrong. The energy readings had spiked, growing more intense with every passing second. Krell! Xylor barked. What is happening? Krell's face was pale, her fingers flying over the controls in a frantic attempt to make sense of the situation. The energy from Earth, it's overwhelming. It's tearing through our shields. Our ships can't handle it. Xylor's eyes widened in realization. No. This isn't just a weapon. It's a force, something alive. We've underestimated them. But it was too late. The ground beneath Xylor's fleet began to shake, a massive pulse of energy shooting from Earth's surface. It wasn't just electromagnetic, it was pure, unfiltered power. The Vorner fleet trembled as their ships were torn apart by the energy, their shields failing one by one. Xylor watched in horror as his invasion force faltered, the impossible power of Earth turning the tide. And as the final pulse of energy surged through the atmosphere, Xylor realized the truth: Earth wasn't defenseless. It never had been. And now, the galaxy would know just how powerful humanity truly was. The alien fleet was in chaos. Xylor's flagship, the Vorner Dominance, was on the brink of falling apart. The once imposing warship trembled, its hull groaning under the relentless assault of Earth's unleashed energy. The skies above Earth had turned an unnatural shade of red, the aftershocks of the catastrophic pulse still rippling through the atmosphere. Xylor's vision blurred as his ship's systems crashed one by one, but there was no time to ponder defeat. The battle was far from over. Commander! Krell's voice crackled through the comms, strained and barely audible over the worsening chaos. The energy waves are intensifying. Our fleet is disintegrating. We can't hold on much longer. Xylor's gaze hardened. He wasn't ready to admit failure, not yet. His mind raced. The power coming from Earth wasn't just electromagnetic. It was something far older, far more terrifying. This was no weapon, no mere defense system. This was a force that had lain dormant for millennia, waiting for a moment like this. This is impossible, Xylor muttered to himself, fury and disbelief warring within him. His knuckles whitened as he gripped the console tighter. We need to regroup, now. Prepare for emergency evacuation. I will not be the one who lets this planet defeat me. As his officers scrambled to follow his orders, Xylor's thoughts drifted back to the moment of their arrival. He had dismissed Earth as insignificant, a relic, not worthy of even a second thought. Yet now, with his fleet in ruins, the thought gnawed at him, what did we miss? On Earth, Eli stood in the center of the ruins, the ancient power coursing through him like a tidal wave. The air around him vibrated with a hum that seemed to match the rhythm of his heartbeat. Sam stood beside him, staring in awe as the energy from the pedestal rose higher, spreading like a web of light across the desert. This is incredible, Sam breathed, unable to look away from the pulsating sphere at the center of the chamber. Eli's hands trembled slightly as he reached out once more, the power within the sphere responding to his touch. It's ancient, Sam. We don't even know the full extent of what's inside it. Sam's voice was filled with both wonder and fear. What happens now? We've already felt the power in the air, the ground, it's unstoppable. But it's still growing. Can we control it? Eli didn't answer immediately. Instead, he turned toward the glowing symbols on the walls, the same ones that had been dormant for centuries. They were now flashing in a rhythmic pattern, as if responding to the power he had awakened. The ground beneath their feet continued to hum with a resonance that vibrated through their bones. This isn't just a weapon, Eli said, his voice filled with the weight of his realization. It's our history. Our ancestors, those who survived the wars, the plagues, the fall of civilizations, left behind something more than technology. They left a legacy. A force. Sam stepped closer, his eyes wide with disbelief. But why? Why would they leave something so powerful, so dangerous, just sitting here? Eli swallowed hard. Because they knew we'd need it. The galaxy may think we're weak, but they don't understand the strength that's in our blood. Earth isn't defenseless. It was never meant to be. Above Earth, the remaining Vorner ships were descending, their commanders reluctant but resolute. Xylor's orders were clear, retreat wasn't an option. But his confidence was crumbling with every passing second. The pulse of energy from Earth had already crippled most of his fleet, leaving only a fraction of his forces intact. Commander, we've received reports from the lower fleet, Krell said, her voice strained. We've lost all contact with the majority of our landing ships. The energy field is unpredictable. Our shields are useless. Xylor's lips tightened. I'm aware, he snapped. He had been hoping to crush the humans quickly, but the situation had spiraled far beyond his control. He glanced at his second-in-command, an officer named Grath, standing at the tactical console, sweat beading on his forehead. Grath, can you calculate an escape route? Xylor asked, his tone cold but tinged with the desperation he refused to show. Grath shook his head, panic in his voice. We're too close, Commander. The energy field is affecting our navigation. It's like the very fabric of space is being warped. We can't calculate a safe route out. Xylor's thoughts churned in the void of his mind, and in that instant, he realized the horrible truth. The power beneath Earth's surface was not something he could just conquer. It was something Earth had carried within it all along. A power that had been dormant, waiting for the right moment to rise and protect its people. And now that moment had come. His jaw clenched. Prepare for the final assault. We are not leaving without Earth. Prepare every available weapon. But as the order left his lips, the skies above Earth lit up again. The energy pulse intensified, and a wave of light, bright and overwhelming, shot upwards toward the fleet. For a moment, time seemed to slow. Xylor could see the fear in the eyes of his officers as they stared at the oncoming wave. The ships shook violently as their shields cracked under the strain. The ground below was no longer just an epicenter of energy. It had become a beacon, a final stand. Eli's energy surge had triggered the full awakening of Earth's hidden force, and now it was turning against the invaders. In the ruins, Eli could feel the shift. The sphere in front of him pulsed with a blinding intensity. "It's happening," he said softly, almost to himself. "This is the beginning. The energy is resonating with us, humanity. It's unlocking the potential of every human being alive." Sam's voice was tinged with disbelief. "How can it do that? How can it just unlock? It's tied to the collective will of humanity." Eli interrupted, his eyes wide as he realized the scope of the power. "Every person, every life that's ever fought to survive. Earth has this energy locked away, not just in the land, but in the minds and spirits of its people. All we needed was the right trigger." Suddenly, the earth trembled more violently, and the air grew thick with energy. A brilliant light surged from the pedestal, flooding the chamber. The power within it reached beyond Eli, beyond the ruins, and to the farthest corners of the planet. "We can't stop it now," Eli murmured, feeling the weight of what was unfolding. "It's too late. We've awoken the Earth. We've become the Earth." Above, Xylor's fleet was being torn apart. Ships disintegrated as the energy wave engulfed them, their hulls buckling under the sheer force. In the distance, Xylor could hear the tortured screams of his officers, the sound of their ships breaking apart, but it was too late. He was already surrounded by the energy. "Commander, we're losing everything." Krell's voice trailed off as their flagship, too, began to fracture. Xylor's vision blurred, and for the first time since his arrival, he felt helpless. This isn't a battle anymore, he realized. This is something far bigger than war. It's the awakening of an entire species. With a final, reluctant breath, Xylor spoke one last time. "All ships, retreat. We are not ready for this." But even as his command was issued, the energy wave grew, faster and more unstoppable than anything he could have anticipated. And as the light consumed him, he finally understood what it meant to face Earth. It wasn't about weaponry or technology. It was about the heart of humanity, the unyielding spirit that no force in the universe could ever truly conquer.